The colour palette this season was heavily influenced by the environment because a place like Mali, you have to be, particularly the native people of Mali. They're really well known for their beautifully coloured robes, quite diverse. Not the usual colours that you'd think of when you think of Africa, intense blues and violets and jades.
And that's the one thing that is so unique about Mali is these amazing colours in the Tuareg people. The clothing is just, it's really stunning and beautiful, and it's nice to be able to translate that into a natural fabric like linen.
The traditional textiles is what inspired me the most. And I've always loved African fabric and African textiles and from all over Africa. In the mudcloth tradition, all the different motifs that the patterns are made up of have got cultural significance. For example, there's one that's kind of a V shape, and it represents the sickle, the farmer's sickle. There's one that's like 3 lines and dots, and that represents the spindle, which is the weaving tool.
There were some lovely textures that came through this season that Amy and Holly stumbled across that have really added another dimension to this range.
A lot of the shapes and things tell a story into themselves. I was quite drawn to the architecture in Mali, and it was something that I was just blown away by all the amazing shapes and forms that were there.
Holly created a design called Obi, which particularly on a cushion I like because of the embroidery that was lovely and dense and tactile, and you just want it.
I particularly love the large-scale prints that we did on the clothing because it's so nice to see really big, bold, kind of more modernist shapes on clothes.
I really love the Madu pattern, which is Imogen's pattern on the ceramics. It's got the gold in there and it's just bold and really visual, and I know every time I look at it I just think, that's so cool.
I really like the Layla print that Holly made. It's also inspired by the mudcloth patterns. It's inspired by the little sickle pattern. And it's just a very delicate little print, and we've used it a lot on clothes. It's really sweet. I think everybody will love it.
We really put our hearts and everything into a collection. It can be quite personal. You want people to love it. That's why you're doing it. You want people to engage with it. It's a great feeling to finally release it and see the people react. I find this a really warm, inviting collection, which sounds like what you'd expect me to say, but it really is sort of all-encompassing. When we've had it set up in the office at home, you walk in and you feel enveloped by warmth.
This colour palette is quite timeless, it's quite classic because it's very earthy. Me personally, I don't think I'd ever get sick of these kinds of colours because they're not, brash or bold or really in your face. They are quite subtle and quite sophisticated. It just looks fantastic, the textural side of it and everything, and I think we're getting into that a lot more as a group of designers. We're really embracing, textile design in terms of the weaves and how it might actually look in terms of structure as well.